For tonight, baby. Can't wait.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Slipping and sliding, he was like a cat. Pop, pop, bang. Well, the Patriots win, but they don't cover. 22-20 the final from MetLife Stadium as the Patriots take their third and final preseason game undefeated so far on the season as we get the postgame show rolling here with Hardy, Paul, Perillo, Mike Dussault. That's it. In the books, ready now to begin the campaign. Gentlemen, initial thoughts as the game wraps up here. Start with you, Deuce. What'd you think?
I just have to say I'm surprised that we didn't really see much at all of Cam Newton this summer. I tallied up. I mean, he threw 21 passes in the preseason. Mac threw 50. I don't know what the snaps were, but I'm sure it was a similar kind of number. So I think that's my biggest takeaway is just that they seem kind of happy with what they've seen from him, I guess. It just seems like we built a quarterback competition all summer. It didn't really seem like anything that happened changed it. Cam was the entrenched starter. He got the starter reps as if he knows what he's doing, and Mac got a ton of experience and noticeably showed, some growth. And again, I thought he had his moments tonight, good, and, a couple bad as well. But overall, I'm just happy they kind of made it through the season. I'm excited for the regular season. Still some questions, but it seems like they avoided any crazy game, season-changing injuries this preseason, which is always, to me, like the first kind of box to check.
All right, well, there's a lot to unpack there with you specifically and not seeing enough Cam. We'll get to that later. We'll get to it often throughout the post-game show. Paul, your initial thoughts, though, on the game?
I think Mike makes a really good point. Not necessarily the game, the preseason in general. I would agree with Mike's point. It seems in retrospect that it really was never a competition. Unless something really out of the ordinary happens in the next 2 weeks that I don't think any of the three of us or many people in Patriots Nation anticipate, and he button hooks everybody and goes with Mac Jones in week one. I think it's pretty apparent. I thought Zoe made that clear tonight that he thought, based on the whens and the wheres the quarterbacks played, it's Cam Newton's job. And I think Mike is right. In retrospect, I'm not sure it was much of a competition. I think they decided to go into the preseason knowing that Cam was playing week one, and really nothing about the performances were going to change that.
Yeah, and I think if that seems kind of like fatalistic and that it's just, it's all set in stone, I would back that up by saying it might also be set in stone that they fully plan on going to Mac Jones at some point during the regular season. But they had it set in their minds early on that they were going to start Cam week one, and it was going to take something miraculous, between Mac's performance and Cam falling off in order to change their minds on that. But quickly adding in, if Mac is who we think he is, we fully expect him to take over this job at some point during the season. So you can kind of throw up your hands and say, well, it wasn't much of a competition. But on the other side of that coin, you say, well, it's not going to be much of a competition for Cam to keep his job either, because I keep going back to they know what they have in Cam. They don't need to see more from him this preseason. We would have liked to have seen it. We would have liked to have seen if there has been any progressions there, any development, anything changing in his delivery or the way he does things on the field. But I think the Patriots felt pretty secure in what was there. Not saying it was great or they were thrilled with it, but also knowing that Mac is the type of guy who's going to come along here pretty quickly, and he'll be ready to take over if Cam just stays where he is.
Yeah, it scares me a little bit. It just scares me to make me wonder, was there anything Mac Jones could do to get an increase in reps or increase in opportunity? It doesn't really feel like he could. So as we get into the regular season, my big question is going to be, what's it going to take from Cam Newton to keep this job, and what kind of play should we be expecting out of him?
Well, let me put it to you another way. Based on what you saw from Mac tonight, is there anything that you saw in the field that said, well, he should definitely be the week one starter? I didn't see enough from Cam to know that he deserves the job.
You're definitely right, but I think over the course of this summer and especially I think the last week or so, I've come around to just really feeling like I kind of would just like to jump in with Mac and start the future now instead of, wondering what's going to happen with Cam. I mean, it's been a process for me, giving Cam a chance and seeing what he can do. And I guess that's just what I'm scratching my head at, because I don't come away from this feeling confident about him turning in a consistent performance. And
Yeah.
I'm worried about, is he going to come in and the season's going to be over pretty quick?
Yeah, I don't really have, to your point, a ton of faith in the quarterback play in general. Now, for vastly different reasons. But yeah, to your point, Mac was a little uneven tonight. Certainly, I thought he was not good at all in the first half.
Yep.
And then second half, same kind of thing.
Come out with the tempo,
the
and
intensity.
you're able to
The intensity really goes down, and he catches fire. And I brought up something in the middle of the broadcast, and I'd like to follow up with Zoe on it a little bit because he wants to sort of look at things a little bit closer with the all-22 and whatnot. But I'm just wondering, when they have plays that quote-unquote work, he's terrific. It's that little sort of backside play action where he's going to turn his back, take the ball out, boom, the guy's there. He is on time, on target, and really effective doing it that way. I think did he get sacked 4 times tonight?
I believe somewhere around there.
I thought all
he
4 of
got
them were
sacked a bunch.
100% on the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, what I'm guessing, I'm watching the monitor. I'm in the studio. I know people sometimes they hear me in the broadcast, they think I'm there. I'm not. I'm here watching a monitor on TV just like everybody else. So I can't see what Mac Jones is looking at. But my guess is that he's looking at his first option, and it's not there, and he's taking sacks. And, I didn't really think he was under a lot of pressure tonight. You look and you say, 4 sacks. Oh, wow. I mean, that's offensive line problems. I didn't think they had offensive line problems tonight.
I think he was moving up in the pocket a little bit, and then he was getting a little flustered, and he was looking for a way out in some of those situations
Also
and didn't
wondering
find
if that
it.
knee is an issue because he didn't really look like he was looking to avoid any of that pressure tonight all that much.
I guess what I would say is that based on what I've seen from Max so far in the preseason, including tonight, and especially in that first half, Cam's not necessarily going to go out week 1 and automatically get a win or get wins in. I don't know. I don't know what the loss total is going to be, but watching Mac Jones so far, I don't feel like by not starting Mac Jones, you're leaving wins on the table. It's like, that's a game we would have won if Mac were in there.
I know your point. I get your point. I don't necessarily disagree with it.
I got to feel like just based on watching him play, the games are going to be decided by what the Patriots defense is able to do, by how their weapons are able to contribute, and the quarterback play, it's pretty close to a wash right now. So I don't think, at least in the beginning of the season, you're leaving it's going to be that much of a missed opportunity if Mac Jones is not your quarterback.
Yeah, I would just say, didn't really feel like any easy plays for Cam Newton tonight. And there's a limited sample size again. But, at least with Mac, there's a couple plays where you give, all right, that looked like it's supposed to look. With Cam tonight,
he's still
scaring me.
Can I just say one thing? I loved the throw in the interception.
Oh, yeah.
That was a perfect throw.
It was
it's a perfect throw.
I have
Ball's got to get caught.
No problem with the throw. He looks like he has an easier time on throws of that length than he does to.
See, I'm with Mike. I haven't seen too many of those. I really liked that throw. I thought he powered it down the seam. The guy had a step. He couldn't loft it out in front of him because there was a safety over the top.
But it's what I'm saying is
I give Blake Martinez 100% of the credit on that play. That's a terrific play by a linebacker.
It just looks like physically it's the same effort for him to throw that ball than it does for one either out in the flat or a glorified screen pass just beyond the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's putting his whole body into those where it's like, it's odd. It looks like he's in pain sometimes throwing the ball, like he's, just still doesn't have that like fluid release, and it's a whole turn to almost shot put the ball. And we should be used to it by now.
Should we get started here with the stuff?
Oh, sure. All right.
Ups and downs.
All right. Good. Hey, Matt. Paul thinks it's time for us to do the good, the
tell
bad,
you
and
why.
the injured.
I'll tell you why I'm saying it, because I feel like we're getting close to, as we're talking about these things, evaluating our thoughts on the individual players.
No, Paul wants to move along. We should move along.
Well,
Mr.
I
TV
mean,
guy
we can't move along the way I really want to move along. So
move along to your bed.
To the parking lot.
I'm going to brush my teeth here, so when I get in the house, straight into the sack.
Oh,
Now it's time for the good,
Pretty good. pretty good.
The bad.
If you were in my toilet bowl, I wouldn't bother flushing it.
And the injured.
You are a gay!
Good, the bad, and the injured, brought to you by the good players, the bad players, and the injured players. In the 22-20 win over the Giants at MetLife Stadium tonight, we begin with Paul Perillo, your first good player of the night. Paul.
Before I get to that, I'm just going to say that Bill Belichick was asked specifically if he has made a choice, and he says no. We still have a lot of decisions to make, so he is not ready to name a Week 1 starter. So that's worth whatever that's worth.
At this point, I kind of don't believe him.
I don't either.
I don't believe you.
I think it's. I'll flip it for you for a sec. Now Hardy's going to get mad at me for being hypocritical here because I wanted to move on to the good, the bad, and the injured. Now I'm not moving on to the good, the bad, and the injured. I'm going to go with Mike's point about the snaps and the throws and all that. If Cam is not the starter now, I don't think it was fair to Cam.
Right? Yeah, it's a great point. You're right. He didn't give me a chance to do anything.
Because, like, if I'm not the starter, then you should have let me play.
I mean, he threw 21 passes, three games.
That's funny. That's very
okay.
true. All right, your first good.
My first good is a guy that I've loved throughout the preseason, J.J. Taylor. I just feel like the more I watch him, the more he reminds me of Deion Lewis with his ability to run with power for a small – compact guy, and then he adds the return game to his plate tonight.
Punts, kicks,
I think
catch,
he's
run, everything.
I think he was a really solid summer, and he was really good tonight.
I think he looks explosive, and that didn't really – I think he's always been quick, but he just looks faster this year to me. It's almost like the Sony thing. Every year a running back looks faster to you, but just explosive, off the edge, and can do it all, and showed how many different ways he can contribute.
All right, I think it's a good one. I think we all agree on that one. Deuce?
Yeah, I'm going to go with D'Angelo Ross, who got, kind of the spot start at slot corner with instead of choosing to put Jawan Williams up there and Jalen Mills on the inside, they gave D'Angelo Ross, who's been on the team for a couple seasons in the practice squad, made a couple plays on the ball, made an interception in the end zone. So I think he was just a guy who got an opportunity tonight to play with the ones and made some plays. I don't know if it's going to translate for him into a roster spot based on the depth that they have. They've got some issues at slot corner right now, but good for him, making play on the ball. And I think that was a little bit of a gift the way the pass rush kind of forced the throw a little bit, but good for him. Nice game, and we'll see. Maybe it's enough to at least get him on the practice squad.
Yeah, I have strong cosign on Ross, and I would add in that tackle that he makes on
third down.
Ingram. That's a big time tight end, Evan Ingram. And
it was
3rd and 3.
Yep.
Brings him down about a half a yard short of the first down. That was a good play.
I had Ross written down there, and he would have been my first. I think it's just it was unexpected. You're looking for things that are going to pop out at you. When you're putting together the good list, initially, in addition to some of the other ones. So I'm going to go then in no particular order. I thought early on the defense looked good. Deuce and I were talking about plays that Godchow and Uche had made early on. I'd be lying if I told you I was following them closely for every rep they were taking on the field. But early on, I thought they looked real good.
I'm sorry, who did you have? Uche?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Normally when Paul asks me to repeat myself, I feel like I'm stepping into a bear trap.
No. My apologize. I will say sometimes I'm reading things because Bill's speaking right now, and sometimes I'm reading stuff on Twitter and I miss.
All right.
Pertinent details like that.
Yeah.
I would agree. I
So
thought
early
Uche was
on-
active early. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Those guys. All right, let's keep going.
Mike
with
again?
No, it's you.
Oh, it's me.
Back to you.
Counterclockwise on the goods.
Yeah. Well, I just had written down the pass rush was solid, but that gets to your point with Uche. I liked a play early on. You know what? I'm going to go with Devin Asiasi, who I thought Mike and I were sort of tantalized a little bit in the spring.
I was tantalized.
You don't have to make it. You don't have to, he loves to work blue. You don't have to make it untoward.
Yeah, you didn't say titillated.
Right.
You said
Tantalized.
It's a little tantalized.
But the way
Sorry, I just derailed it.
I just thought the mobility was on display, the athleticism. Mike and I have made note of the struggles that Mac Jones has had getting the ball down the seam to tight ends. Nice back shoulder seam ball to Asiasi. I was equally impressed with some of the drag routes that he ends up turning upfield, breaking tackles, made some plays. Good for Devin Asiasi.
Yeah, surprisingly looking smooth and athletic. Some I didn't really quite see last year as much, and it's kind of coming through now. A little
4
seems
for 64.
more comfortable.
Good night.
That big one, which I think like 30 yards was the big one. Good night for him. Good night for him. And I think based on the health of everybody, you very well could see him playing some kind of role in a couple of weeks.
Go ahead, Deuce. What else do you have for a good?
We had him. I'm going to put Wilkerson on there. I mean, he, 4 catches. I mean, not a ton, but I think he did everything that he could do.
72 yards.
Yeah, 72 yards. Yeah, some big yardage in those plays. So definitely a guy coming in tonight who was on the bubble, and had a real nice night, especially with some of those catches down there in the second half and coming through with his back against the wall a little bit.
All right, very good. I'll put 3/4 of the kicking game on the good list tonight. There was the one missed field goal, I believe, just the one.
Yes.
But it was good to see Folk back out there for one, seeing that he was actually able to take the field in a game. And Nordine did make one late that I think even Bob and Zoe mentioned on the broadcast that it ended up being a good night for him. I don't know what it means for his long-term prospects, either on the team or practice squad, but it's it's, as you know, one of my pet peeves, an overlooked part of the game, and I thought they had a passing grade tonight. They certainly weren't bad, and I'll put him a tiny bit on the good list.
It was unfortunate that he missed that last one, but I did have Nordine as a bounce back. I thought he was solid tonight.
Yep.
Long one at the end would have put the game away. Would like to see him make that, but I see where you're going with that.
All right.
Not a bad night.
Any other goods, Paul?
Let's see. I'm just going to say the overall, whatever it is that goes into the preparation at the half, I think this is 3 weeks in a row they came out in the third quarter and opened with a very impressive touchdown drive. I think that's really important. Normally I would just say, well, it's preseason, who cares? But I think that's really important given the fact that you're coming out with your rookie first-round pick quarterback. So that offense schemed up some things in all 3 games, were very effective. Good job by the coaches in the game plan and all that, and good job by Mac Jones being able to execute that.
Yeah, I got to go back and look. I don't think they went hurry up tonight. Was it just kind of
No,
straight
it was
up?
regular,
so, yeah,
but it was so quick.
Yeah,
because there were 2 long pass. Well, it was a long pass and a long run.
Bing, bing. Yeah, nice performance by them, and a good bounce back, as Paul, as you said. I thought Matt came out. The offense a little clunky there at the end in the second quarter, but
Yeah, I used the word clunky
come
on
on.
the broadcast.
Did you?
I think I did.
Well, that's a good word. That aptly describes it.
You have any other goods there, Deuce? I'm fresh out.
Yeah, no, I did have technically the pass rush, but I think Paul covered that of just those early guys, the ones. I think that they're being real disruptive. But what I'm also intrigued by is that I think guys like Uche, guys like Barmore, guys like Judon look like they can win one-on-one matchups. They look like they're tough guys, and I think that that's key to this defense. If you're having to scheme guys to get. Let's just get some guys who are fast, who are strong, who can get in the backfield and make life hell for opposing quarterbacks. And I think that they've got some of that right now.
I think it was better in that regard as we transition to the bads, unless you have any other goods, Paul.
Not really. I thought Godchaux made a big play early on run defense, which I really want to see out of those guys, but that kind of tapered off. And then
that was my first one. It's like
was
early.
Godchaux?
Yeah. Along with Uche, and I thought early on when I was first writing my goods down, I'm like, oh, there's a couple of good plays, but I don't know. I didn't see anything else
and
later on.
I would just say, just because of how short a time he's been here, Sean Wade, I thought was pretty scrappy and pretty competitive in the times that I saw him on.
Yeah, on that touchdown, he got pushed away. I thought that was a penalty.
Oh, I actually
think you were just walking in.
I didn't see the replay of that. I saw it live.
Looked like the Giants receiver just
saw it live.
Gave him a toss and caught the ball. It was a little bit weird, but he was around the ball.
All right, so let's reverse the order here for the bads. Deuce, I know you hate this. It's so distasteful.
I know,
for you.
especially when we're waiting for a player to call in. I feel like as soon as I say a player,
well,
let all right, good. And we see
good. He's talking, so
we know we're okay.
No,
we already put him on the good list.
Asiasi will be fine.
I thought that was a tough night for Michael Jackson. He seemed like he was around a lot of plays being made. He got
I had him on my list.
Ire of Bill Belichick on one particular play, and for a guy like him trying to make the team tonight, needs a great night. I think unfortunately it just didn't go his way this
To
night.
Mike's point, he got called for I believe on the span of 2 drives he got called for a hold. He got beaten badly on a 3rd down, and then was the extra guy when they had too many men on the field down on the goal line.
Oh, I thought that was Jackson was the extra guy.
Jackson, isn't that who we're talking about?
No. Oh, yeah.
Michael
Jackson, right?
Michael.
No, Tito.
Okay, Michael.
Michael.
Jermaine?
It was Jermaine. I think.
That's right.
No,
It was Jackson.
I
yes.
wasn't in a time warp, right? That's
No.
what we were talking about.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of spaced out there for a second too, but I remember seeing Belichick like talking to him when he came back over to the sideline, like,
Yeah, I think he was
"Oh,
the guy.
that's not on anyone other than him." It's like, nope, that's you. That's all on you.
Jackson too. It's confusing. Yep.
Okay, so that's your first bad. Paul, you're first. Now, in no particular order.
Yeah, no particular order. I and this is kind of more of a preseason, a summer, but culminated tonight. Nelson Aguilar, to me, has been very cool. Okay, let's go to that first then.
All right, very good. We'll go now to our player after the win tonight there at MetLife Stadium, Devin Asiasi, joining us here on the Patriots Postgame Show. Hardy, Paul Perillo, and Mike Dussault. Devin, congrats on the win. Great game tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, Devin, a little bit of a late start for you in training camp, but just, what have the last couple of weeks been like for you and be able to come out there on this last game and have a really solid performance?
I know they've been, a good 2 weeks of work, 2-3 weeks of work. So, moving forward, I'm just trying to build off of that. Obviously, I didn't have that first week of camp because of being on the COVID list, but, just dealing with adversity and pushing through. So, good to have those 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, getting back and getting those reps and starting to get familiar with everything. So,
Do you feel now, Devin, at this point that you're up to speed, 100%? I know that some people it varies and just how much they're affected by it. Do you feel 100% at this point?
To be honest, I'm just taking it day by day. And, there's days where I go out there and probably feel a little tired, but, it's just anything, just pushing through the adversity and pushing through with my situation. So, obviously being 2-3 weeks removed, I feel better and my condition is getting better. So, I definitely feel a little better. So.
Yeah, and I think that goes for a lot of guys. We've heard Mac talk about it, and in terms of finding a rhythm, and it's got to be tough. So I imagine that getting in the flow and feeling like the rhythm on a good day, it varies in terms of how many reps you're getting and physically how you're feeling too.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. Just trying to get more familiar each and every week. We have an opportunity to touch the field with these 3 preseason games, and it was good opportunities for us to lay the foundation. That's what Coach been talking about. Coach and Coach Slater been talking. Coach Slater, Matthew Slater been talking about building that foundation.
He's basically a coach.
Building that foundation and building some solid groundwork so we can take that going into the season. So I think that we've been doing that, and we just got to keep progressing, keep pushing that forward.
Devin, just how much more ready do you feel for this season? I know it's your second year, but not having got any training camp or preseason last year, haven't played a couple games, how much more ready do you feel now than compared to last year?
With 3 preseason games, obviously you get a little better feel about how it's going to be out there on the field. And, when the bullets are flying, you get to adjust and kind of adapt to the situation. So definitely with 3 preseason games, feel a little better, but not taking that lightly. I'm each and every day I'm trying to attack the day with a mindset of improving my knowledge of the offense, improving my knowledge of the scout and seeing what those guys on the other side of the field are going to be running. So each and every day I'm just looking for progress and looking to take one step forward, 1% better each every day.
All right. Well, we know you got a bunch of work left, but hopefully a little bit of rest time too before the season begins here in a couple of weeks. Congrats again on a great preseason, and good luck going forward. We'll talk to you again soon, hopefully.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You guys have a good one.
All right, you too.
Thank you, Devin.
There he goes. Devin Asiasi with a Freudian slip there. Is that Coach
Slater?
Coach Slater. I almost said, don't worry. We won't tell Matthew that you slipped and call him Coach because we don't want it to go to his head. But sarcasm doesn't always,
Doesn't translate.
Doesn't translate
on
over the phone. Yeah. All right. So there we go.
Yeah, but I had brought up Nelson Aguilar, and it wasn't like he was like a disaster this summer or whatever, but I haven't seen a lot of him being involved. And the first possessions, 3rd and 7, Giants have their starters. This was a little different tonight, if you guys noticed. I know that I got mocked a lot last week because how many times I brought up the fact that the Patriots starters were playing against the Eagles backups. Well, tonight you were playing against the other team's starters. And by the way, the other team's not all that good. And you found it a little bit harder to just sort of pick everybody apart. James Bradbury's a pretty good corner. And there was no separation. 3rd and 7. This is all based on one play. 3rd and 7, I'm looking for my number 1 wide receiver. That's who he's supposed to be, right? I'm looking for him to create some separation and make a play, and he was blanketed. And I haven't really seen him
do anything.
So he,
like
he's
blanketed.
there. First third down of the night.
We complain about, N'Keal Harry not being able to create separation. There was nothing. There was a blanket thrown over him on that play. I remember it well. So I think that one's totally fair. I don't even know how fair it is to put Gunnar Olszewski on the list. He was targeted twice tonight, but my God, when it hits you in the hands on what would have been a big completion.
Yep. He was on my list.
Yeah,
and then the other time he was targeted, he was blanketed.
I mean, it's bad both ways. You're either not creating the separation, getting open, or when you are open and the ball hits you on the hands on a really nice throw, I don't know what to say other than it was a bad night. It was a bad night for Gunnar.
And that's the bread and butter throw for him. You got to catch those.
Right.
I mean, that one, it's right there. It's a drive
he's really
starter.
good at that route. Like, he gets open. We've seen that all summer, but he doesn't always catch it.
And I think what bugged me the most was just that he was so resigned after the miss. Like, it was just like, yep, I did that. I dropped that one too. And he just turned around with, like, it's just something about it that just seemed like almost as if he was expecting it that it was going to happen. It wasn't even like he wasn't even.
It's funny that you
bummed out
read
by
that.
it.
You read that into it, and you're right. He did, but that's what his reaction was. But I was like, he's so damn athletic that he just sort of flipped. And he ended up on his feet. Like, you go back and watch and see how fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, it would take me days to get up. Like, when I was 20, it would have taken me days to get up.
If you had spotters.
If I was still long ball Paul, it would have taken me all that time to get up.
Yeah, just a bad drop, though. And there's so many people hoping that he can be a receiver and contribute in that Julian Edelman role. And it's like, there it is. That's it. And if you can't catch that one, it's hard to imagine him contributing on offense.
So Hardy, I know there wasn't a lot of volume, but I think that's worthy.
Yeah. All right.
I do too. I had him. Yeah.
Okay.
So mine after this, it kind of gets down into guys who are playing in the fourth quarter, kind of surprisingly, and I'm going to put Jawan Williams on there.
Okay.
I think part, as I mentioned, he didn't start. They decided to go with Ross in the slot instead of him.
It doesn't even have to be a bad performance, but in this spot in the last preseason game, if you're playing that late in the fourth quarter, all right, maybe it wasn't a bad performance, but you're still having a bad night if you're playing that late in this final preseason game. So maybe it's the good, the bad night, and the ugly. That's a bad night.
And you're hoping that maybe they have some renewed confidence in him going into the season, that, hey, we think he's had a good camp and we can put him out there. And I got the feeling tonight, like, we might rather go with D'Angelo Ross in the slot if Jonathan Jones can't go in a couple weeks. That was the impression I got, which is, 2-year practice squad guy versus second-round pick. So I just found his night disappointing. He was around the ball a little bit, but didn't really do much.
Right, and you extrapolate from that a little bit, because wouldn't it have made more sense to have Williams on the outside, move Mills to the slot, but maybe they're looking at that down the road and saying, well, we got to get Mills some more snaps on the outside because Gilmore ain't coming back right away. Well, we have no guarantee of that.
It's a good point, too.
So, that is sort of a situation that belongs in the bad list. Not necessarily for his play, because I think he was fine tonight playing, Jawan Williams, but you're right.
Just a sign of how the overall summer went for him and an impression that you might have that not quite.
Yeah, and speaking of Mills, I thought, again, this is snapshots. Like, they didn't play a ton. And like Aguilar, one third down. Mills, I thought, got beat badly by Darius Slayton, who dropped it. It was a 3rd and 13. Mm-hmm. 3rd and 13, I'm sorry. You need to get off the field on 3rd and 13, right?
Got lucky.
And he was wide open, and he just dropped the ball. And we've seen that a couple of times from Mills so far in his snaps. So if he's going to have a prominent role, it needs to be better than that.
The only other one that I had was kind of in response to what you were talking about with the Patriots pass rush. I thought their front three was getting pushed off the line a little bit early on, but then the Giants only put up like 95 rushing yards.
No, but I had short yardage run defense, and this is why I sort of left that Godchaw thing till late. I was with you, Hardy. They had a lot of like 3rd and 2s, 4th and 1 after that D'Angelo Ross stop.
Seems like they were getting easy.
And they got
3
him
and
easy.
4
they were
yard
getting
runs.
4-yard runs on 3rd and 1, and that's been a big thing that I've been watching because I've been very impressed by it, very encouraged by it. The first 2 weeks, Hardy, I'm with you 1,000%.
It only took me 4 years, but I'm finally starting to see things that Paulie Paul sees, and that makes me feel like I'm doing
Validating.
well.
That's validation.
That's well, he's got deep institutional knowledge of the team, of the game. He's just a football mind.
You suck.
Okay,
If he's just a football
he's
mind.
just the
all
guy
he
knows that. Guy knows
He
the
knows.
he knows the pigskin.
He knows.
All right, so good. I'm not crazy. Anything else there?
I'm just gonna was for the same reason, not necessarily bad, but I can't really get my head around Henry Anderson. What is Henry Anderson? He's playing into the fourth quarter. I don't know. I haven't really seen much out of him in camp. I think, but
he
our
was
road
dominant tonight. But to your point, he's playing against Uber drivers.
I don't know. And if he can't kind of get into that mix where I don't think Godshaw's been what we hoped he was. I think guys kind of banged up maybe. I don't know. His
So a lot of
usage has been
Montrevious
kinda-
Adams early tonight. No Carl Davis.
So I
not
think
really much Akeem Spence.
yeah,
I don't know what to think.
I think these are real concerns, and as much as I'm concerned about the cornerback situation, I feel like they did so much to say we have to fix the run defense, and I still think there are questions about that. I think Guy and Godshaw and those guys, they need to come into this season with their hair on fire and play really well. Because if they don't, it's not going to really matter how good they are on third down because they're just going to get run all over like they did last year.
Mike. I like it. We had another too many men on the field situation tonight, which I didn't like, and sort of related to that kind of penalty. Mac taking a delay of game. There's a little sloppy things that can't happen. And the last thing I had was just sort of they were terrible on third down tonight.
Yeah.
I think they were 0 for the first half.
Bill mentioned that to Steve Burton there when he was coming back from halftime, but the delay of game that Mac took, I guess
2 for 9 for the game.
Oh.
Yeah. So
any I guess they have the refs at the joint practices. He got called for a delay of game during the joint practices too, I guess, which I didn't even know they were calling that during the joints.
They were calling it.
Yeah, and Mac got called for it. So
I don't remember Mac getting called for it.
That's what I think Sosi mentioned it. That he'd been called for.
Then I would take that to the bank.
Yeah, I
No, I'm dead serious. Mike Reese, Bob Sosi, those guys say it happened.
I mean, those things that are ingrained in you in college for a while, and then that changes when you get to, it's one of the things that's going to be different. I don't know how big of a difference it is for him, but when you're talking about getting ready for the NFL and the changes that exist within the game, that's one of them. That's one of those that you're not going to have. I guess a lot of time to ramp up for it before the season actually starts. And I don't know anything that's going to drive a head coach nuttier when it comes to taking penalties than delay a game when it wasn't an issue with anything other than he wasn't paying attention to the clock. Yeah. That's all it was. Yeah. He could have gotten the playoff. All right. Any more before we get to the injured?
I'm good.
Good to go?
That's all I had.
Got any injuries?
I don't think I saw
I didn't see any.
Did you see anybody?
I didn't see anybody go down. I know there was one play that J.J. Taylor looked like he was like, did he get hurt on this? And you even heard Zoe say, get up. Come on, get up. Okay. So I think he get out of that. The camera wasn't on him at the time, so I think that was okay.
Okay. All right. So there we go. We've got phone lines, just one or two open right now, 855-PATS-500. You can join us here on the Patriots Postgame Show. We've already talked with Devin Asiasi. Later on, I'm guessing we'll be hearing from both the head coach. What?
No,
what do you look at it?
I'm just listening. I thought you were teeing something up. I was getting ready for a joke, but you were being serious, so forget it.
I'm being a host.
I thought you were being fun.
No, please.
Laying out the schedule.
I'm just telling you, we're going to hear from the coach, maybe the quarterbacks.
Then we'll do this.
I don't know.
That.
Just Mac tonight. All right. There we go.
It's Mac.
Interesting.
So you're saying there's a chance. We'll go to Brandon.
Interesting, he says.
In Atlanta. Go ahead, Brandon. First up on the Patriots Postgame Show. Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Brandon.
Glad to have y'all back. Glad we got a preseason to get some knowledge on these players this year as opposed to last year. And that actually has me pretty excited. I mean, the defense is still, up in the air because we don't know what's going to happen with Gilly, and John Jones is a little banged up. But I really like the offense. Like, I think we have a really good running game, a really good offensive line. We got a bunch of change of pace backs, that can do all types of different stuff. So me personally, I'm kind of like I can see 12-5, and I don't think I'm crazy by looking forward to that. Hopefully 12-5, which should make us get us in the playoffs, hopefully. But, yeah, it's just good to have preseason football back, and we can see what's, might be the case for the season.
Yeah, some tantalizing stuff.
Good stuff, Brandon. Proof once again that the Patriots' biggest fan base outside of New England is in Atlanta. He's got them down to 12-5.
It's optimistic.
It's very optimistic.
I have questions. I really don't feel like I know a ton about this team right now because we haven't seen Steph Gilmore, and we don't really know what's going on at the quarterback position. And like Paul went into in detail with Aguilar, supposed to be a big piece of this. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw him make a play. I mean, it definitely happened a couple times early in camp, but he's been quiet. We haven't seen Hunter Henry actually participate in a while. Jonnu Smith, plenty to be excited about. There's just a lot of questions that I still don't really have any clue how it's all going to come together.
And that's one thing I will say. I've been a little underwhelmed with the offense. I was expecting. I mean, I'm not like saying shocked because I wasn't expecting the offense to be gangbusters. But I will say, Smith and Henry haven't been out there in part of this really all summer. Smith has made a couple of plays. Henry hasn't played at all. So I think there's a lot of room to grow there.
Let's see if it's in the water down in Atlanta. 12-5 is what Brandon said. We're going to go to Ray, who is also in Atlanta. Do you have the Patriots at 12-5 on the season, Ray?
Anything is possible.
but no.
I'm just going to keep it safe with saying that. And what the last caller said, in respect, I don't know what game he was watching, but the defense saved us once again. We had a problem with the offense. It wasn't a quarterback problem. I know, I heard you guys, and I respect your opinion. But the way my eyes saw it tonight, I don't think it was a quarterback problem from either one of them. I think it was the receivers, and I mean, nobody was protecting Mac. If we can protect Mac can show us what he can do. And I guess they're gonna blame Cam for the catch that for the ball that didn't get caught.
No, I don't know that Cam's going to get any blame for that. And kind of to Deuce's point on this, we didn't see enough of Cam tonight to be critical of him. I mean, he was 2 of 5 for 10 yards. I mean, yeah, I got to see more than that to have a real opinion on his
It's just kind of like a
game.
developing opinion. Like to Mike's point,
I
if he's not the starter, then he got screwed.
I have more of an opinion on Brian Hoyer based on what I saw tonight. I mean, and for what it's worth, Hoyer looked pretty good. He's playing against guys who aren't going to be playing for the Giants, but he looked all right.
I was going to say that real quick. I know y'all got a show, but yeah, Hoyer. I kind of like him again.
Go watch that. Go watch.
You're right about Atlanta, Hardy.
Yeah, I like him again, and he helps us when he can, and it's up for the team, man. It was a sloppy game tonight, but they did get the job done nevertheless.
All right,
and they just need to work on that offense because the defense is good. We just got to work on that offense.
All right, Ray. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. I don't look at the game tonight, the sacks that Mac took, and immediately start looking for the holes in the offensive line. Now, I'm going to need it pointed out to me anyway, because unless there is just a glaringly obvious on replay, somebody getting turnstiled, I'm not going to pick up on poor offensive line play just watching the game in real time. But I thought he had time. I didn't think the pocket was collapsing immediately.
I did too. That's one of the reasons why I don't think he was quite as good tonight as he was in the first 2 preseason games.
Yeah. Well,
the numbers are going to look very similar.
Yeah, but it's kind of a carryover with that second day in practice where they were, throwing some stuff at him, mixing it up a little bit, and you can see the hesitation and what. I think that's on display of what when Bill probably talks about starting a rookie quarterback and what you need to do. Those are the examples where, hey, they could just tweak one little thing and all of a sudden it's like your brain explodes.
And we don't know because Bill's never going to tell us. But I think exactly what Mike said is the reason why Bill Belichick probably feels Cam Newton gives him a better chance. Little things like that.
We're going to take more calls. We got emails coming in to webradio@patriots.com. I've never emailed the show, so I don't know. Don't give me that look, please,
That's
dude.
just an email
On
address.
the last preseason game, if you're going to start giving me looks, it's going to set us up for a really long and bad regular season. So let's
Fine,
not
let's
do
finish
that.
strong.
Let's not do that.
When
Fine.
you guys fight, it's uncomfortable for the kids.
You're very uncomfortable during the game. Without you here as a buffer, Deuce and I were at each other's throats
We were.
the entire game.
Talking music.
Yeah, it was
ugly.
crazy. Ugly. But your calls, too, at 855-PATS-500
I heard it went differently.
as the post-game show continues.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Because Chase was
adorable.
Guy, it is adorable.
Because I had
You guys should go to Jersey Mike's together.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
A lot of guys competing tonight, competing for playing time, competing for jobs, and it's impressive to see on both sides, And kind of like last week, this capped off a real good week for us, with the Giants practices, and then tonight, it's a good opportunity to, over that course of that time, really, see everybody, give everybody a chance to play and compete against, good competition against another good football team, and so look forward to, seeing the film and seeing how things turned out, but I feel like we made progress through the preseason, and still have some more work to do. Obviously, that's clear, but heading in the right direction. We'll just keep grinding and just kind of see where this takes us. But start to turn our attention towards regular season games now, and know everybody will be looking forward to those. So they'll be coming up soon.
All right, there we go. There is Bill Belichick talking about what he needs to work on, but you got to look at the film first. I don't know. I was just standing on the sideline. I got to look at the film. I got to look at the film and
That's
take
what
a
Zoe
look.
did to me tonight.
Yeah.
I got to see the all-22.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zoe. Why don't you be an ex-quarterback and tell me what's happening?
Oh, come on.
I'm going to start using that.
Totally
Paul.
fair,
Drive
by
you
the way.
nuts. I'll be like, I need to see
don't
the
know.
all-22
I gotta
first,
see the
Paul.
all-22.
I haven't done my ups and downs yet.
No, but there
Have you
is
published yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff coming together, and it's a little different because of the timing, right? You have to go to Tuesday instead of the Saturday before the opener. So it used to be the game would be on Thursday. So I guess in that regard, it's pretty similar. Thursday to Saturday. Now it's Sunday to Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday.
All right. Let's get back to these calls here at 855-PATS-500. We go to Spee in Fresno. Hello, Spee, on the post-game show. What's going on, buddy?
I'm dying with that. Why don't you just be an ex-quarterback comment? That's great.
Totally fair.
You're not going 12-5 when your strongest position group is also your most injury-prone at running back. I mean, but I got two things on each quarterback, or one thing on each quarterback. So with Cam, I hate disagreeing with Paul because it makes me feel like I'm wrong, but that interception when he threw it to Jacoby, the pass looked short to me because Myers had to pull up just back a little bit when he went to complete the catch. I know I'm being persnickety about it, but that's how it looked to me. It's my eyeball.
No, I said I didn't see it that way. I thought you said you were all right, Spider.
No, he is all right.
Yeah. No, I thought, first of all, I thought the ball hit Myers in both hands and should have been caught. And then I give all the credit to the linebacker for ripping out of his hands.
Out-wrestled.
I think that was a good play by the line, but I don't think he was short with it. Do you guys think he was short with the throw?
I feel like it kind of had to be short because he was trying to drop it in a space.
Yeah, he couldn't put it out in front of him because there was a safety over the top. But I thought the throw was pretty accurate.
I think my criticism would be, is there another guy wide open?
Well, that that could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to watch the all 22.
I don't know.
Walked right into that one.
Cam didn't get a chance, like you guys have been saying, to look bad enough to not get the starting position. But I did want to comment on Mac, because I do think, I don't know, to my eyes, Mac took a bit of a step back tonight. Yeah, you're right, mainly in the first half. But I'd say overall, like the struggling taking sacks thing really got me thinking, because I agree with you, it wasn't the line. It was this sort of thing with this rookie quarterback, kind of, and his skill set, a lack of escapability. And yeah, I mean, because with that, you have to kind of compensate with your eyes and your head seeing the field. I don't know who was open. I don't think a lot of guys were open, but still, he looked like a rookie in those situations. But I guess the good news there is that those are things, the eyes and the head, that you can develop and you get better. But I got to say, coming out of this, it looks like, it looks like Cam's going to be the guy to go, and even though it makes me puke.
All right. Well, good.
Thanks, B.
Thanks, B. Good to hear from you. There's nothing about the team right now that makes me like physically ill thinking about the prospects for the season. There is some uneasiness at the quarterback position. I have some uneasiness when I think about how the receivers are going to be able to not only perform on their own individually, but in tandem with that unease I feel at quarterback. But I don't feel awful about it. I haven't seen it, to your point once again, Deuce, I haven't seen enough from Cam Newton to really feel passionately one way or the other based on these preseason games. And if anything, I'll lean toward feeling a little bit better than I thought I would based on how he looked in the Philadelphia game.
Yeah, and I would say generally I agree. I'm just surprised that I could get to the end of training camp and I still feel like I don't know what the sum of all the parts is going to be. I don't really have a sense if Cam Newton is that much improved than he was. I don't really have a sense of, are Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry going to take this offense to another? Are Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar going to be receivers that take us to another level from what we saw last year? There's just so much unknowns, and I thought we would get through this summer and say, wow, we saw an extended look at Cam in that one game, and wow, he was really, connecting with the tight ends. And I know that this is probably wishful thinking that you're going to come away from the preseason and know exactly what your team is, and that probably never really happens. But I just feel like the amount of unknowns, other than I'm pretty sure the running game's going to be pretty good. Like, I'm pretty sure about that. Like, Damian Harris looks like he's ready to go, and I think if that top line of 5 offensive linemen are good to go, then they're probably just about as good as anybody, especially in the run game. So I think that should be there, but after that, there's nothing that I feel like I can state definitively about this offense. It's going to be almost as much as a surprise as it was last year when we went into that Dolphins game and we had seen no preseason games and never seen Cam Newton as a Patriots quarterback. And, at least then we knew we had Julian Edelman, and now we kind of know we have Jacoby Myers, I guess. But other than that, just what is it going to be? I don't know. We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Let's hear what Bill Belichick had to say about this. He was asked about this directly relatively early on in his post-game press conference tonight about the decision about making, just making the call on whether it's going to be Cam or Mac.
Have you made a decision on who will start at quarterback in the regular season opener?
Yeah, no, we still have a lot of decisions to make.
That's it. I don't know who among us actually believes that is still a decision that has to be made. It seems like it's been made, but they're not going to name a starter. And, we were talking about this, I think, last time we were all together, like, when do you think they name a starter? Do they? Is there they have a date in their mind when somebody has to be named outside of the team, like publicly to everyone else?
Oh, publicly?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they don't have to do it publicly, but they have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think they'll probably feel like they have to do it when they get to work next week. Was that probably Tuesday?
Yeah, that's the expected first player available Tuesday.
Yeah. My guess is the team needs to know, and you can't do this with splitting all the reps thing.
Correct.
When you're trying to get a guy prepared for the opener. I think, far be it from me to tell Bill Belichick how he has to do it. I'm not doing that. But I would think that Bill feels like he needs to get somebody ready.
And would next week, not this coming week, but next week would be the starting quarterback has to be available to be interviewed? Is that part of the protocols and things?
I don't know, but that's another interesting element to this is the media requested Cam Newton after the Thursday practice and did not get Cam Newton. He was requested evidently again tonight after the game for the postgame, and he was not made available. So we've yet to talk to Cam Newton since his 5-day absence from the facility. And now you're running the risk of you prolonging this to make it a thing during the season? Is that going to be the next time we talk to him, is like on the eve of the season?
And then he's going to get asked about it then.
Right.
Might as well just get it out of the way.
Let's go back to the phones here. We'll go to David in New York on this post-game show. Hi, David.
Hey, guys. Happy undefeated preseason.
That's right.
That's right. We're celebrating.
Fred's printing the T-shirts right now.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up a couple things, I believe 2 things here. One thing is I believe Cam will be the starter. I'm going to start out by saying I'm not a Cam hater. I want what's best for the team. But it's obvious to me that Mac just does almost everything better at this point. You know, beside from the escapability in the pocket and the running ability, that's obviously Cam's territory there.
So what are the things that
what
are the things that you think Mac does better?
Well, his accuracy, and I love his arm. When you look at Cam, you can tell that he's putting his all into every throw that goes 5-10 yards. And I believe he had surgery on his shoulder a couple years ago, so that would have something to do with it. But yeah, just the accuracy,
I would agree. I think he's more accurate than Cam.
I think he's more accurate. And now, listen, and I agree with you too, David, that Mac seems to have an easier time throwing the ball, but, you know, you don't get points for technique.
And you don't get points for ease. I don't think he has a stronger arm than Cam. I think it looks better.
It looks better, and it looks like he has an easier time throwing it. But, you know,
He's had a number of passes batted down by diving defensive backs this summer. That's because it doesn't get there fast enough.
Right. Not enough zip on it?
Yep.
Okay. We have an email here, Paul and Mike, from Jack in Ann Arbor. What has become of Anthony Jennings?
It's a weird one. He didn't.
Is that who you're talking about in the pregame?
He didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't start the training camp, and there was reports that he was dealing with a death in the family, and then he came back, and then he's been weird. He's been in practice, out of practice, in practice, out of practice. It's one of those situations.
I don't remember him tonight at all.
No, he didn't. I don't think he dressed.
He
didn't dress. He wasn't even in uniform.
He's not anywhere.
So I don't know.
The
he wasn't there
score.
Friday. It's been kind of strange. I don't know what's going on there. There's something going on. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury, trying to come back from it, and trying to tough it out, and it's holding him back or what. But my radar is certainly up for him to be one of those guys that maybe gets IR the next day.
All right, let's go to Kansas City and talk to CJ on the Patriots postgame show.
He didn't come Friday, though. He wasn't at Friday's practice.
Oh.
But he was there.
I'll let you finish.
It's weird.
Yeah,
he's been there and in and out.
Let the two nanas finish figuring out whether Anthony Jennings was
it wouldn't be it'd be odd for a second-year, third-round pick to be cut, I would admit. But it's not unprecedented. They have done it.
Right.
Kevin O'Connell was in his second year as a third-round pick.
But he would still be playing tonight even if he were going to be cut, wouldn't he?
No, I'm just saying I don't see him as part of the equation unless there's a transaction. You know, like we keep saying Chase Winovich. You know, someone is looking to give you a wide receiver for Chase Winovich.
Okay.
Maybe you make a deal, and that opens up a spot.
All right, I got you. All right, sorry about that, CJ. What do you got for us?
Nah, no worries, guys. Hey, kind of my takeaways from the preseason in general so far and what we know today is kind of in line with kind of what you guys have been talking about, obviously, and especially Deuce kind of hit on it. But I think that what we know is we've got a pretty good offensive line. We've got a pretty good running back room. And, yeah, that's really about it. And that's kind of what I took away. Now, I wish I had the confidence of the guy in Atlanta of 12-5.
Both of them.
But I don't, just because of all the unknowns. I think, yeah, if everything fell into place, absolutely could we get there. Yeah, I mean, sure, I'm a homer too, but I do think that there's just a lot that, you know, we need the all-22 at the end of the year to really know Especially defensive back. If Gilmore's not back, I do not feel confident with our secondary overall. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the cornerbacks, the matchup, I think that could be the Achilles heel maybe of the team, even if the defense and the front play great, unless they're getting after that quarterback right off the snap. There's just a lot of questions. I hope that, as I said at the pregame show, that the older linebackers and the older defensive linemen are able to maintain a high level of play. I still don't feel convinced or have seen a lot of evidence of that. Maybe they're going easy on them a little bit in the preseason, but a lot of questions. Mm-hmm.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, CJ. And we talked about Gilmore a lot in the pregame show and, what the timeline might be. There hasn't been much in the way of, or I should say anything from the team in terms of his status and where he's at. Presumably, officially, he's still sidelined due to injury, but, he said earlier on this year that he felt fine and he's ready to go. And I think we all just know it's about the money at this point and whether or not they're going to figure something out to get him on the field for this year or sign him to an extension, or whether he's going to wait it out until he gets to the point where he says, all right, if I'm going to make X amount this year, which is $7 million, not counting the money that he was fronted last year for, that was, really this year's money, and he'll play for those games. And I still think the worst case scenario is you get him for those final 7-8 games, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Maybe a few more, maybe the last 10
it'd be like
games.
11 if he has to sit out at least 6 if he opens on PUP.
Right.
So assuming that he could be eligible to play after that, obviously he'd still be able to play 11 games.
It's so tenuous though at the start of the season.
I agree. That's worst case scenario.
Right.
I got a little question. Does it ever happen where they're going to make cuts on Tuesday? Will that open up space, money, that maybe that's when it starts to make a little bit of sense at all? I don't know if that is that ever an inflection point.
Do you think someone high priced is going to get cut?
That's what I'm asking. That's what, unless that happens.
Plus,
it's
they
not
have
really,
plenty of money. This isn't a money issue. It's what they want to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
money-wise, they could do it before any cuts. I think it's a good question, but
just looking for inflection points here of like what could change the game a little bit, what could move the needle either way. There's not really anything.
Could you think of somebody who's making a decent amount of money this year that would somehow change things that could also be cut?
Right, like a lot of people threw the Sony Michel in the trade because it was like 1.4 or something like that, but that's not. I mean,
that's right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Are there little pieces that they're adding up? I don't know. I'm just wondering what is going to change anything, because until the Patriots, apparently decide to give him a new contract, is he just going to kind of sit there and be like, I'm still hurt?
Right.
What's going to change that? And it's got to, like, this week has to be an inflection point at some point, because they're cutting the roster down and they're shifting to regular season preparation, and we are a game plan defense, and do we have Steph Gilmore able to go and lock down their number one? Is that going to be part of the game plan? Yes or no? We need to find out. So I just don't know if there were anything in the money end that maybe, that's going to kind of help open up a little bit. And but I'm just asking a question. I don't really feel like, it should happen that way.
Right. Alex in Chicago is up next. Patriots Postgame Show. Hi, Alex.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey.
So I don't know about this whole Cam versus Mac thing. I think both have their positives and their negatives. I think it's kind of just pick your poison at this point. I don't think Mac is ready to start. What has me really concerned with this team is the receiving core, which feels really below average. I mean, I'm not comfortable with almost any receiver outside of Myers on this team, and Myers should be the third best receiver on any team. How much has that, do you guys think, stunted Mac's development? The fact that we don't have a capable receiving core of being consistent. And I'm not saying we need to get the Alabama receiving core and just have all-stars across the board, but do you think that there's something to say of the fact that we don't have those specific players, and that doesn't really suit Mac's skill set? Because you need the receivers that can get open, that can hit the slot.
One might say he doesn't have the
downfield.
caliber of player he had in college.
Yeah.
Has that ever been theorized before?
But I will say, like, to his point, Max had a few deep balls drop that might have changed. That might have changed things a little
including
bit,
even
right
practice.
in their hands. Right in their hands.
Now,
so.
Having said that, has that stunted his development? It's been a handful of weeks. I think we've seen him progress, but I haven't seen him like, oh, he's just not getting any better. I actually have seen him get a little bit better. And if you go back to that Wednesday practice this week, he looked really good. And you're playing against it's a practice. It's a joint practice, and the situation is much different. But yeah, there are times when he looks absolutely fine and his development hasn't been stunted. I don't even know if it can be at this early stage. Would he look better if he had guys who could get open all the time? Who wouldn't?
Yeah, and I do think that hurts both quarterbacks, by the way. But to the college point, I agree. With a rookie, you want to put him in the best position to succeed, and I don't think that would be like a number one factor in playing him or not. But I think it would be a factor. Hey, do we have the structure around him that he can develop with? Now, the flip side of that is we do have an excellent offensive line. We do have a good core of running backs and a good stable to be productive for him. And those are things that would help a young quarterback.
Yeah.
So
and you think
have to weigh those two things.
The tight end would be a part of it too,
Yeah, absolutely.
Which will get better as we get closer to the regular season.
Hopefully
when we have full
they
health.
get on the field. Yeah, that's the thing. Love to see what does Mac Jones do with John O. Smith and Hunter Henry out there. I mean, we saw it in like walkthroughs, and then it just started people getting hurt in and out. Lacoste was pretty good. He got hurt. It's been tough at that position, and I don't think we've gotten a full preview of what they really want to do yet.
Brian is in Houston. Hello, Brian.
Yes, how's it going, guys? Great show, fellas.
Thanks,
Brian.
All right, I'm a Cam Newton fan, guys, since he was 2011 in Auburn. And this is my question for you guys, Hardy, Paul, and Mike. If Mac Jones is a starter, what would the New England Patriots record be? Like, you guys are missing the most important statistic in sports. If Mac Jones starts, what would the Patriots record be?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the answer?
What would the record be if Cam Newton starts?
I'm glad you asked that. Let's say there's two guys applying for a job, right, which is Mac Jones and Cam Newton, which is the New England Patriots quarterback job. I would think Cam Newton has the better resume. Don't you guys think?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Mac doesn't have a resume.
Mac doesn't have one.
Right. So to the all New England Patriots fans, you guys act like Mac Jones is the man of steel when he has nothing to show. And plus, what would the Patriots record be? And that's my question for you guys, by the way.
Oh,
I mean, my guess is going to be, and I've said this all off season. I haven't really seen anything to change my mind so far. Somewhere in the neighborhood of nine wins. Somewhere between 8 and 10. I could see them winning 8.
Mike?
I could see them winning 9. I could see them winning 10. That would be about the high end for me with either guy. To be honest with you,
Mike?
I haven't really seen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the question and what people kind of default to, Brian, is they look at both, and we know what Cam is. We saw it last year, and he looks to be about the same, maybe a little bit better so far this preseason. What Patriots fans say is, what is Cam's ceiling and what is the ceiling for Mac Jones? Not week 1, not week 2, maybe not even the first half of the season, but going forward toward the end of the season and then beyond, who has the potential of being a better quarterback at this stage in life, 2021 and beyond? And I think, if you answer that honestly, you have to say, I think you know what Cam is, and do you think Mac Jones can be better than that?
Well, that's a great point, Hardy. But 10-7, I'm not sure if that takes you to the playoffs. Because you New England Patriots fans, you guys have a high expectations. 10-7, I'm not sure if Mac Jones can get that done. Now, back to the Cam Newton situation. Cam Newton, he's proven Super Bowl, Rookie of the Year, MVP. I mean, why not? Second year in the offense. And again, I'm a Cam Newton fan, so.
Okay. No, and I look, you asked the question about the resume, and I don't think that is even a debate. Cam's resume speaks for itself, and few were as excited about the acquisition as Mike and I were last summer, because we thought, wow, they really stumbled into something here. You get Cam Newton, and we were really excited. But then I watched him play for a whole year, and I think physically he's not the same guy. And I haven't really seen anything this summer that tells me that physically he's back to what he once was. If we could get the 2015 version, absolutely, I would raise my number from the 10 wins up around 12 or 13. I think they could win, because I do think there are other pieces in place that this team could be successful. but I haven't seen it from Cam Newton. I don't have that confidence.
And Brian, his availability going forward is, I fear, still going to be an issue. If he has to sit out for 5 days at a time, if ever there is another missed test or a close contact with someone and he remains unvaccinated, that does not bode well for him or the success of a team that doesn't have their quarterback at practice and fully available. And it's already been an issue once. It almost certainly will be again. It's almost certainly going to happen again.
And I've said before, Brian, like I think that Cam probably gives us the best chance to win in 2 weeks against Miami. Like that's what I'm focused on. It's so hard to say if Cam starts if Max starts the whole season, but I think Cam's ability to run, his experience, I think he's earned the chance, but I just haven't seen enough of him. I wanted to see more of him this preseason. I wanted to see him have more of a chance. He missed those 5 days, which was, 1 day of joint practices that we missed. And I disappointed that we didn't get more of a chance. And I mean, as Paul said, if he's not the starter, then, what chance was he given to prove himself? So, I fully anticipate that Cam's going to be the starter for at least those first, initial quarter of the season. And then we'll go forward and see how much he's improved, because I do think all those points are valid in terms of having a season in the offense, all those things. I just was hoping coming into the season to have a little bit more sense of where he's at on that scale right now. And I still feel kind of confused as to I don't know what to expect when we get out there in a couple weeks.
Right. Last question, guys. If Mac Jones is a starter, do you guys think Mac Jones could beat Patrick Mahomes and or Lamar Jackson? It's the AFC, guys. It's the AFC. Great call, guys. I'm off the phone.
All right, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. No.
That's a hard pass on Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. And
Lamar Jackson, yes.
Well, not the same style. I mean, it's
no. I'm not saying he's going to match Lamar Jackson's
the Patriots would beat the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the Ravens could. I think they could beat the Ravens in a game.
They beat them with Cam last year.
Well, I thought you said B. Okay, beat?
Yeah.
No.
I don't think they could beat Kansas City in a game. Listen, upsets happen. That's why they play.
How they look against the West?
They got blown out.
A little hard time.
Okay.
Now, in your defense, Brian Hoyer played that game, and that's a big part of the reason why they got blown out.
That was close.
Although the guy from Atlanta likes what he sees with Hoyer now.
We got a guy.
but that's the issue with all that stuff. It's like, Brian is a Cam fan, and I appreciate him saying that up front.
Yeah.
It's like me when I'm talking about Tiger Woods. It's like, I got blinders on because I'm a fan, and I think he's, capable of doing things. I never count him out of anything because I almost don't think rationally. But I try not to default to his resume when I'm talking about his chances at the Masters in 2022. I don't even know if he's walking yet. And I'm not going to say he's going to win the Masters because he's already won it 6 times. I'm just saying it because I'm a fan of the guy and I want to root him on. They're 2 totally different things.
Right, and that's why I think that call was, and he said it several times. Look, I'm coming at it from a Cam Newton perspective.
Right,
I'm a Cam Newton fan.
Right.
I'm a Cam Newton fan. I got to be honest with you.
I know.
I really loved watching him play at Auburn, and I liked watching him play for the Panthers. And I was excited, not as excited as Deuce. Deuce was very excited last year. It was very exciting when because Tom Brady left. Deuce was very excited.
Got rid of that guy.
But then we watched, and the offense was not exciting. It wasn't very exciting to watch. He was a big part of the reason why it wasn't all that exciting.
It was the lack of development, the lack of progress each week. If I was willing to accept things early on, but it just never went anywhere, and it never developed into, wow, he's starting to get it. Like, there was nothing at the end of last season. You were like, man, if we kept this going, I think maybe it'd start to click for him. I didn't feel that way. I'm willing to give him another chance, and I guess we're going to find out how it goes.
Our post-game show will take us to a town in Massachusetts I've never heard of. Our neighbors to the north soon enough when we talk to Tony in Canada, and then out to the Pacific Northwest. Where'd you learn to climb trees like that? The Pacific Northwest. We'll talk to all of those people, plus hear from Mac Jones, more from the coach, a lot to get to on this Patriots post-game show when we continue next.
Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
A pony opponent, I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
I'll go with my first good of the night, Stevenson. The level of competition.
Have him on a different list.
What?
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
All right, thanks to our prep school snob, Mike D-Train Dussault.
Yes, that's correct.
You know where Wilbraham is. Wilbraham, Massachusetts?
Right near Monson.
Right by Monson.
Tell me where in the state.
I like Central
Mass?
Central Mass.
Matthew, are you in Central Massachusetts?
No, I'm in Western Massachusetts.
Western Mass.
Wilbraham is a home of Friendly's Ice Cream.
Oh, duh. Yeah,
My prep
you
school
don't.
snob did me wrong.
Yeah, well,
we're by Springfield.
you think a prep school snob is going to know about Friendlies? Doubtful.
Wait, he just said we're near Springfield. Is Springfield Western Mass or Central
Yes.
Mass?
Western. Yes.
Where does that start?
Springfield is Western.
What's the
Mass.
line? Amherst?
Beyond Worcester.
Yeah, we did a whole thing on this
The
on
Woo
the air
sucks.
before. I don't care to do it again. Matthew,
Did
what,
you really?
Oh my God, we had the longest, most heated argument about where Central Mass begins.
Oh, that's a good argument. Let's table that. Let's get back to that.
Yeah, we will get back to that one, but not
Route
now,
2.
Matthew.
I
Go
Route
ahead.
2.
Okay. Hey, so speaking about where I live in Massachusetts, and I went to YouTube TV today to try to watch the game. It was blacked out. I was kind of bummed out about that. I was really looking forward to seeing Mac Jones play.
Yeah, it's probably Chris Ferrera's fault.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that. He'll be all in a tizzy, please.
I don't know what to tell you about the YouTube TV there, pal. Can't help you.
I am not an expert on the YouTube TV, but the game was shown locally on CBS Boston, right?
Yeah. You want the good news, Matthew? You didn't miss much.
What's the good news?
They won.
Yeah, they won, and you didn't miss much. I
know. But you think Mac Jones is going to be the? You think he's going to take over Cam Newton?
No.
Someday.
Yeah, someday.
Not
Absolutely.
week 1.
I don't think I agree with Hardy. I don't think it'll be week 1.
I don't think it's going to be week 1. I'd love to say I told you so, and I told you so. Tony in Canada. Where about in Canada, Tony?
Yeah.
In the cold area of Canada.
Oh. That narrows
That
it
one.
down.
That's everywhere. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta.
Whoa.
Okay, that's cold.
He's up there.
Yeah. All right, what do you got for us on the game?
Well, I just like to talk a little bit about the game, take it maybe from a different angle, but a couple things I observed, and I'd like to get your feedback on it. I was really impressed with Harvey Longy. He looked really good to me, and I was kind of excited to see how he was playing, the linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering what you guys saw with that, and whether you think he'll make the team or not.
Well, I wouldn't be excited if I were you for seeing him play that late into the game. He racked up a lot of tackles because he was in there a lot.
I think he's going to make it.
I think he's going to make it, but what did you see from tonight?
I didn't see much
And
of him
if he
tonight.
makes it, which of the linebackers are we going to end up cutting?
We've sort of speculated, Tony, about Anthony Jennings being a guy who is firmly entrenched on the bubble. I think it could go either way. I haven't really seen anything from him to warrant a roster spot other than the fact that they took him in the 3rd round last year. And I don't think that's a good enough reason to keep a guy.
Okay, thank you. And one other thing. The fact that we let Sony Michel go, does that mean that Ramondre Stevenson won't get redshirted this year?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think he'll get redshirted. I think in general they have let rookie running backs that carry the ball carriers, they've played right away. I think you saw Sony Michel most recently.
Yeah.
He played a lot as a rookie.
Ridley.
Lawrence Maroney got a lot of carries. Stephen Ridley got a lot of carries. Is that everybody? Is that all my guys?
It's a long list.
I think in general terms, guys that carry the ball have gotten an opportunity to carry the ball as rookies.
Yeah, but it was agreed upon in the pregame show that the Patriots don't win that Super Bowl without Sony Michel, and that his
yes, it was agreed upon by you.
Well, I mean,
Judge, jury, and
5
executioner.
touchdowns, 2 for Stevenson. I mean, if he doesn't play this year, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I think if he
looks ready to go.
If he doesn't play, I would say that's a great sign that Damian Harris had a terrific year and J.J. Taylor. Like, these other guys played great.
Didn't I put Stevenson on the good list in preseason game number 2, and you both didn't want him on there
because he had the rejoiner.
Because he had
Matty put on the rejoiner.
Yeah, he had the fumble.
Yeah,
that was me.
Yeah,
bad play.
Yeah, threw some stink on my putting him on the good list.
I didn't put stink on it. I said I didn't have him on my good list.
All right.
Because he fumbled.
And now you want him carrying the rock. First play of the season. All right. Well, things change quickly around here, don't they?
I don't really see what one has a correlation with the other.
I bet you wouldn't. I bet you wouldn't.
Because I didn't have him on the good list in week 2 of the preseason, I don't want him carrying the ball in the regular season. I don't think those two things add up.
Adds up in my mind, Daniel, in Eugene. What do you think?
Well, hey guys, long-time listener.
Okay, that's better.
Taking things for how they are, I mean, despite what the coach says, I'm taking as Cam Newton's the starter for week 1. One of the kind of ongoing themes from last year was Cam got that abdomen problem, I think, against the Seahawks early in the season. It kind of seemed to affect his health throughout the rest of the season, and affect his throwing motion. So one of my questions, and it was kind of noticeable for the preseason, they didn't want him running. How do you think the Patriots will utilize him, try to keep him available that way on the field, healthy, be able to throw the ball consistently?
I mean, I think it's just going to be short third downs, 3rd and goal. That's where they run him up the middle, short. I don't think there's going to be a lot of middle of the field option, keep it Cam. I think they're going to keep that away from him. I think the degree they had to use it last year might have been because he didn't really know what he was doing. Hopefully this year he knows more. He's able to be more of a passer. And I think that's one little thing that I've seen glimpses of, was that it seems like he is trying to work through the progressions more, and he's not, it's not there, just take off and run, which I think is a good sign. But again, he's 5 passes tonight. So it's such a small sample size. A lot of unknowns still with him and where he's at.
You think there's going to be a stark contrast in week 1 of this year as opposed to week 1 last year? Where, I mean, he ran the ball, just in my memory, a ton.
15 times, I believe.
Yeah, against Miami, and it was like, wow, until they figure out a way to stop it and stop him from picking up, I don't know what his average was, but it seemed like every time he kept the ball, it was good for 5-6 yards.
Yeah.
And until they figured out a way to stop that.
Touchdowns, too.
Yeah, they were going to continue to do that. I think other teams saw that and said, well, I think we can stop that, because, again, he doesn't look like the same Cam running the ball. Certainly not last year. He was closer to his injury. He was, still new in the offense. But I don't think we see him carrying the ball that much here in week 1 if it does end up being Cam again.
And going back to the pregame big point of the show was, what's he dealing with? Like that could impact stuff. That could impact his throwing motion for whatever. I mean, if it's his arm, if it's his leg, whatever it is, that's got to affect how they're going to approach things, especially if they need to kind of be aware of something that he's dealing with and not try to get it even worse.
And you guys may have talked about it and did talk about it, before I was here today, but Paul brought it up in the pregame. The thing that was kind of lost in that whole 5 days away, traveling, the testing. Wait a second, you were away for what? For a team-approved medical appointment? For what? Yeah. What are you dealing with?
You don't know.
What's going on?
Are
you hurt?
That's the biggest surprise to me, was that, because we were talking about it this week, and I think Mike Reese, touched on it in his Sunday notes today too. But it almost feels like you're burying the lead somewhat of that this is like that could impact things more than anything else.
Let's go to William in Philadelphia. Hi, William. We're on the Patriots Postgame Show. What's up?
How you doing, fellas? How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Willie.
Okay. As I sit here and watching y'all and just taking in your opinions and everything, and what you saw in the game and whatnot, and I sat and watched this game, and I'm like, Mac Jones looked good. I mean, he put the ball where it needed to be. These receivers need to catch the ball. I mean, I think Bill should be on the phone the next day. You need some receivers. I mean, because this is ridiculous. I mean, it's just the defense is fine. I mean, to some certain degree. I mean, we still could use Gilmore, and that's just my take on it. As far as the receivers, the offense needs to be better.
I tell you what, I'm looking at an email right now, and thanks for the call, William. One from Marcos that essentially echoes that. Nice way to finish off the preseason with a win, but worried about the defense without Gilmore and our pass catchers leaving something to be desired. If you can't get open, or if you are open and can't catch the ball, I can see where you'd be left wanting.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think it's hard, and we saw this last year. I think it's hard when you have to rely on scheme to generate offense, especially through the passing game, all the time. And what I saw tonight was, like I said, that quick little play action, half boot, we're going to throw it back to the tight end. Clearly everything's designed to go that way. We're trying to pop this guy free. Then we're going to have a little play action. We're going to have, a deep dig route or, a comeback to Wilkerson, guy. We know that we're going to get this look with this set, and we're going to throw the ball quickly, and we're going to be able to do it. Well, yeah, that works sometimes, and tonight it worked a handful of times. But it's hard to do that all the time, and that's what they had to do last year to get offense going. Saw a lot of first drives last year. Wow, here we go. We're looking good. Then all of a sudden it's the middle of the third quarter, and you're still stuck on 7.
You're preaching to the choir for me for years around here. A great first drive, the scripted 12 plays.
Yeah.
You come out. What do you got for me in the second drive?
Defense adjusts.
Defense makes adjustments, and wow, that everything that looks so fluid. And this isn't about Cam Newton last year. This happened with Brady. This happened with Brady. They would go out and score a touchdown on the first drive, and then go cold until the third quarter. I mean, it happened more often than I care to remember.
Yep.
Here's a fun one before we get to Bill Belichick. John in D.C. is doing his own roster. He's got 49 guys in. Before we get to the 9 players he has competing for the last 3 spots, he said spot number 50 is either Jawan Williams or Shaun Wade. Who would you pick?
If I had to pick between the 2 players, it would be Jawan Williams, but I don't think Shaun Wade's going anywhere because they just traded for him.
2 picks.
Like, he could get cut in a month if they decide this guy can't play.
Right.
No. But they're going to give him a chance to see if he can play.
Because they gave up those 2 picks for him.
Yeah.
All right. The last 3 spots could be anyone. He has 9 guys competing for them.
9.
Adams Anderson, Davis Jennings, Harry Bolden, Zuber, Wilkerson, and Lacoste. Think you guys want Wilkerson.
I don't want Zuber or Wilkerson.
Davis, Lacoste, and this is it. I mean, Harry.
Yeah.
I don't really understand the question, but Henry Anderson was one of those
guys.
Yep.
You can pick
Henry
3
Anderson is on my team.
3 players out of these 9. So Anderson's in. Do you want Adams,
No.
Davis, Jennings,
Who's Davis?
Carl Davis?
Yes.
N'Keal Harry?
No. Well, I think he's going to probably go on IR.
Bolden?
Take my chances.
No.
Zuber?
No.
Wilkerson?
No. Yeah.
Lacoste?
Yes. On IR.
Okay. You might only have 52. I'll have to go back and double check.
He does that sometimes. I only got 50 guys.
Mike will tell you when I do the I do a lot of rosters just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I generally have a harder time getting to 53 than I do cutting to 53.
I only got 27 guys. What do you want me to do?
And just so you know, this is kind of something I've learned from Bill. I think Bill has a harder time doing it that way. Like Bill has a hard time getting up to 53.
You're like
it was one year he opened the season with 51.
You're like
and they just brought guys off the waiver wire.
You're like the NFL's coach answer to Norman Dale from Hoosiers. My team's on the court.
Yep, my team's on the field.
My team's on the court. That's it. All right, let's hear from Coach Bill Belichick. His press conference here after the 22-20 win over the Giants tonight in preseason game number 3. Here's the head coach.
It was, I think another good learning night for us here. Saw a lot of guys competing tonight. Competing for playing time, competing for jobs, and it's impressive to see on both sides. And kind of like last week, this capped off a real good week for us. With the Giants practices, and then tonight. It's a good opportunity to, over that course of that time, really, see everybody, give everybody a chance to play and compete against, good competition against another good football team. And so look forward to, seeing the film and seeing how things turned out. But I feel like we made progress through the preseason, and still have some more work to do. Obviously, that's clear, but heading in the right direction. We'll just keep grinding and just kind of see where this takes us. But start to turn our attention towards regular season games now, and know everybody will be looking forward to those. So they'll be coming up soon.
Bill, with that in mind, moving ahead to regular season games, have you made a decision on who will start at quarterback in the regular season opener?
Yeah, no, we still have a lot of decisions to make.
What are you hoping to see in the next couple weeks of practice, Bill, before that first game from the quarterback position to help you make that decision whenever the time comes?
Yeah, well, we'll be focused on preparing for Miami, so that's what we'll do.
It seems like Devin Asiasi has had a productive stretch in practice and then more tonight. Would you say he's kind of turning a corner after a slow start to the summer?
Yeah, well, once he, yes, I mean, once he's has been able to participate, he's definitely made good progress. There's, a period of time there at the beginning, then he, wasn't able to practice, but he's gained ground. Still has a long way to go. I'm sure there were some good things tonight, and there were some other things that probably need to work on. That's probably true for everybody. But it was good to see him make a couple big catches and just in general, move the ball. In the second half, that was good offensive output, running and passing.
Coach, what's your impressions of Chase Winovich been since he's gotten back out there on the field?
I think similar to what we just talked about with Devin. It's good to have him back out there. He's been able to get back to work and get his timing and improve his techniques and fundamentals in the game, and so it's been good. Again, still has a way to go, but way better than it was 3 weeks ago. So that's good.
Bill, after the last season, was it important to win in the preseason this year?
Yeah, it's important to win in the regular season.
But what goes into the decision to determine how much some of the, the top guys, both offensively and defensively, would play in a game like this, given you have this long stretch now before the regular season? Did you feel like just a couple series was enough for them?
Well, we looked at it as a composite, so not just this game by itself, but we had other practices that went with it and so forth. So in the end, tried to do what we felt was best for the team, best for each individual player. Sometimes those weren't the same, sometimes they were. And ultimately we had to make our choices about playing time, both in practice and in games, to try to let the guys do things they need to do, but also be able to evaluate things as well. So it's always a balance on that.
Coach, how important was that hit by Williams on the goal line to help set up the eventual pass rush by Uche and then the interception by Ross, but just getting them stopped there as far as a teaching moment for the defense?
Yeah, it was a great teaching moment, Scott. Yeah, definitely. Every yard, every inch is important, and if you keep them out, at least you make them run another play, and something can happen. We can make a play. They could fumble the snap. They could make a mistake or whatever. So. More plays you make the offense run, the better chance you have defensively to you're going to make a play somewhere. So that was a good teaching lesson and a good opportunity there that we took advantage of. D'Angelo made a good catch on the ball and made a good stop on the play after that on the goal line run, and then Jones gave us an opportunity and D'Angelo made a play. That was great.
Coach, there was a moment during the 2-minute warning where James Ferentz kind of pulled everyone in the huddle separately and gave them a hug. It seemed like kind of an appreciation moment. I don't know if you saw it or what you thought of that.
Yeah, I think I missed it, Jim. It's probably over there yelling at the officials.
Hey, Coach, how tough is it to cut players? And in the past, have you ever wanted to cut someone and have your assistant coaches talk you into keeping a player, changing your mind?
Well, sure. I mean, there was always conversations about the roster, and having been a position coach and a coordinator at other points in my career, I recognize and understand those points of view, and I want them to, to give their opinions and so forth. But as Coach Parcells taught me, ultimately that's my decision, and I do it with the help of our coaching staff, our personnel department, the people that are involved there. There's also some other things that are part of the decision-making process, salary cap, things like that have, there's some relevance. I'm not saying that's the decision, but they're relevant. So then you deal with injuries that, again, as a position coach or a coordinator, you might not be fully aware of, particularly if it's a position outside of what you're coaching and how that could affect the team and so forth. So, there are always hard decisions, and it's always tough, no matter who the players are, that each of the teams has to release. I don't know, call it, we're at 80, 53, 27 players, right, for every team. Or put them on some kind of list or whatever, but every team's going to have to release players, and it's always hard when players have come in and done the best they can and, given you everything they had. And there's some players that you're going to have to say, we don't have a spot for. So, but I think, we all knew that when we signed up for it. And I've been on waivers a few times myself, so I'm familiar with that process. And so, it's just part of the competitive nature of pro sports.
All right, there he is, the head coach, who actually I thought showed some more humanity tonight than I've seen from him in the past. A little bit of humor.
Cut up.
I thought there was a moment or two just with his facial expression. It was at that moment where he could have sat for Greg Kinnear in a portrait in As Good as It Gets. You remember when he was explaining to his model, it's like, I wait for a person's humanity to show through, and that's the moment I want to paint them. I could have painted Bill Belichick.
You sound like Eric there.
A couple of points tonight.
Let me paint you.
Okay, so
he said it a lot quicker than Eric would
have. But no, he said a legitimately funny thing tonight when they were talking about Ferentz and hugging the guys in the huddle. He said, "I didn't know I see it.
I missed it.
I was yelling at the officials." But it was also a good question that got brought up, because did that speak to something else maybe that was going on?
Well, I just thought
in that huddle at the moment.
I didn't notice it. Did you notice it?
I didn't see it.
He's a veteran guy. He's been on the Patriots a little bit off and on over the last couple of years. You just wonder if he knows he's going, and he was saying goodbye.
Yeah, maybe I'll be back if somebody gets hurt. Love you guys.
Come on. I don't know if that was necessary. Let's grab a couple of calls here. We're still going to hear from Mac Jones at some point during the Patriots postgame show, but not before we hear from Ron, who's in Maryland. Hi, Ron. You're on with Hardy and Paul and D-Train. What's up?
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Real good.
I have a few takes that I want you guys to. I could take it offline.
Okay.
My first thought was, we've watched the games, and I'm thinking everybody keeps talking about Cam's experience, but the thing that stomps me about it is he doesn't go through his progression. So what is the good thing about having him have experience if you're freezing up in the moment that we need you? It's not you're not Patrick Mahomes or somebody.
Okay, I got you. All right, we'll take them one at a time off the air, but all right, Cam's experience and what that's good for. All right, what's your second point?
And the second question is, why are we comparing Mac to Tom Brady 20 years after Tom Brady has become Tom Brady? Why don't we go back?
All right. I don't know who's comparing Mac to Tom Brady, but maybe in terms of expectations, is that what you mean, Ron?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't think anybody's doing that.
Yeah, unfair expectations if anyone is
agree.
doing that with Mac Jones right now. In terms of Cam's experience, I think he is going through the progressions, but he's having trouble making a decision. While you only go through the progression so that you can make the best decision almost instantaneously.
Sure.
And I think he's seeing everything, but he's not pulling the trigger quickly enough for a lot of people and their assessment. And And if you're not doing it fast enough, well, none of the options are going to be good. Eventually, everyone will be covered or open, but you're going to be sacked before everybody gets open.
Yeah,
So,
it's a whole new ball game for him coming into this offense next year. This offense is unique, I think, and plenty of people are talking about it. Plenty of people have had problems trying to pick it up and trying to process who's going to go where, depending on what the coverage is and all that. And it's a real-time adjustment thing. And I think when Cam slows down, it's tough. You could see it. I mean, and I never put too much into like the physical because I think it's all mental for his adjustment into this system if he was able to get it. And we saw glimpses of it here and there throughout the summer, never, long periods of time here and there. All right, that looked like a pretty good little drive right there that they did. I'm now just wondering what's it going to look like when you have, 8 to 10 drives in a game and how is he able to string those drives together? As Paul said, the third and longs, is he able to, fire that in there, fire the ball in there, and those tight windows and third down. We saw a couple tonight where he's trying to and, had good placement on one and the other had a drop. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does.
All right, Marcus in New Jersey after the Patriots get a 22-20 win over the Giants at MetLife tonight. Marcus, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Really good.
I've been a Patriots fan for the past 30 years.
Nice.
Yeah, and I have a long question. That pass from Cam Newton to Jacoby Myers, was it Jacoby Myers or who was it that missed the pass?
Whose fault was it?
Yeah, I thought it was Jacoby Myers, but I don't know who.
Yeah, it was Myers that the pass was intended for, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. Thanks, Marcus. There were a couple of plays tonight, I think, for both Cam and Mac where, you're just looking at it and you're thinking, it's tough to get an accurate gauge and an assessment on these guys when on the receiving end things are going poorly.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the crosser that Gunner dropped on Mac Jones. I mean, that ball has to be caught.
And I don't know what was happening behind Gunner on the play, but something tells me that was going to be be a big gain.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a chance. It looked like he had a chance to catch that in stride and run with it, make some yards with it, no question. But that was it for drops. And I thought, I think Cam probably didn't deserve a pick on that play, but that's not a drop per se. I thought that Myers had both hands on it and probably should have caught it, but I think the wrestle away by Blake Martinez probably, we could say would have been incomplete.
Yeah.
If he wrestled it out of his hands as they tumbled to the ground, the fact that he was able to wrestle it out of his hands and catch it was very impressive by Martinez. But not a terrible throw. Now, I've had a couple of people tweet me, I guess Kendrick Bourne was open on that play. Maybe that's where he should have gone. But if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that like a long yarded situation?
I thought it was which one? The Jacoby, the pick?
The pick was third and long, I thought. But I'm going to look that up now. Let's see. This was the second drive, right? That was all he played? It was 3rd and 7. Yeah. So, I don't know exactly where Bourne was. Someone said he was open in the flat. Maybe you can't throw it to the flat. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And again, I'd like to see the all-22.
Yeah.
Let's keep with that
You'll
one.
break that down
And
tomorrow.
just so you know, I really have no interest in the all-22. Others will do it for me. And
don't worry, we know.
And they'll tell me what should have happened.
I wish I could have someone watch that whole game for me and just tell me what happened.
You really don't like to watch the games.
I do not like preseason football.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, all 22 of the preseason, that's too much for even me. But I will say, though, just because a guy was open on a play doesn't mean that the quarterback necessarily missed them.
Those are some of my favorite criticisms, of every play that goes wrong, so-and-so was wide open.
You could have just thrown it to that guy.
And most of the time, and I know nothing about this particular play where Kendrick Bourne was, but most of the time you'll watch, the quarterback sort of, is looking right, takes a shuffle step to the right, is under pressure, and then there was a guy on the far left sideline that had a step. Well, that's great, but it's impossible for him to have gotten the ball there.
Right.
It couldn't happen. Yeah, he was open. I could see it. But he's looking this way, he's moving that way, and he's dealing with the rush.
Right.
Like, there's no way he's,
That guy could have very well been his fifth read. And,
Right.
And he might have even pre-snap decided, I'm not even going to the right side based on the coverage. So it's
and
a lot
that's how
going on.
I feel about most of the, so-and-so was wide open plays when they make a bad play.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Mike said. It's like the fifth read when the other team's like, oh, well, he's looking over there, so we're just going to let him go,
Yeah.
It could not happen. It would not happen. The odds on 1 3-reel machine hitting are 10,000 to 1. On 3 machines, it's got to be in the billions. All right, let's hear from Mac Jones when we
man's
return.
insane.
You have to know that one.
The man's insane.
You have to know that one.
No. Casino? One
Thank
of
you.
those?
Wow. See, you did know it.
Well, I kind of guessed.
And then we'll hear from Mac Jones when we come up and wrap up the post-game show.
I do remember it now.
You Momo.
I do remember it.
All right, we're good.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Hickory dickory dock. You have to squint your face up, too.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Well, I do know what the answers are to all these questions, Paul. If you just ask me instead of, I don't know, belittling me on a weekly basis during the football season,
Hardy,
I think you'd learn a lot.
I'd never belittle you.
Oh, that's
Deuce,
that
back
comment
me
is
up.
belittling.
Belittle. Oof, belittle.
Back me up here, Deuce.
That's a buzz. No.
You're
no.
always
You're very sensitive.
Yeah.
Very sensitive.
Matt, can we talk to George in Illinois before we hear from Mac? All right, let's do that. George in Illinois on the Patriots Postgame Show. Hi, George.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. We've got 4 main tight ends. Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, who's currently injured, but he'll be available for a large majority of the season. Asiasi, who had a good game tonight, to say the least. And then Matt Lacoste, who many people forget got a lot of playing time in the season before last. So given that, combined with our receiving core that has a lot of unanswered questions, to say the least, you expect all 4 to make the 53-man roster, maybe 3 and 1 goes to the practice squad, maybe a trade. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And with something we've been kind of talking about, that's where you talk about N'Keal Harry. He obviously hurt, so that kind of takes him out of the equation a little bit. But when, we're talking Gunner, Zuber, Wilkerson, I mean, I think Lacoste is the best option in terms of the offense. And as Paul has pointed out a few times, if you're going to run multi-tight end set, you got to have multiple tight ends. Those guys have all dealt with, injuries of one kind or another this summer. So I think you need the depth. And Lacoste had a good camp. He was pretty solid, was, got where he needed to be. Not a great blocker, but I think that he can fill a need. And I think these are the kind of decisions that they're going to have to make. Do you want to keep a 4th tight end? Do you want to keep a 4th, 5th receiver who might not do anything? Right. That's the next day that they're going to be talking about.
And based on those 4, I'd rather have 4 tight ends than 5 wide receivers.
Yes, and I would agree with you on that. And it's kind of an extension of what we're talking about for these quarterbacks for different reasons between Cam and Mac. But neither one of them are 100% ready to go. Obviously, he's going to be the guy all season long. What can you do to help them? Offensive line, I'd say more so for Mac than Cam. Running game benefits them both. But I think, a solid tight end core helps them more right now, both of them more than maybe having that extra, that one wide receiver. Now, that's saying a lot. You need to have wide receivers who can catch the ball. But if you're giving me a choice, give me the guys with a little bigger catch radius who aren't going to be as far downfield, who can also provide some blocking and some variations to your offense to keep defenses honest. I like that option a little bit better.
Absolutely.
If you're making me choose between the two, because I think it benefits these two quarterbacks a little bit more.
Yeah, especially when you get into the nitty-gritty of who the guys actually are, what their NFL experience is. I mean, I think Wilkerson's had a pretty nice summer, and maybe he's done enough to stick, but I think at the end of the day, a guy like Lacoste probably going to be more valuable than Wilkerson.
Yeah, I don't know. He loves Lacoste. I don't know exactly what the answer is to that particular question, but like I said, I'd like these 4 tight ends I'd rather have than a 5th receiver. But I also think Lacoste could open the season on IR. These are the things, like, I think it's a concussion because we think it's a head injury. But, a concussion could be a week. It could be 2 months.
Right.
So it's hard to necessarily know exactly what he's dealing with. We haven't seen him since that play in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Let's hear from Mac Jones here. Patriots rookie quarterback who got a significant amount of playing time tonight. We don't know who the starting quarterback will be week 1, but Mac Jones was at the podium. Here he is.
How's it going?
Good, how are y'all?
Good.
Did the preseason go the way you expected it to go?
Yeah, I think we came together and just played well towards the end, but it's the preseason. We got a lot of work to do, and it's cool because I know last year a lot of guys obviously didn't get to have that experience as a rookie, and I think it's great regardless of even how you play, just getting a chance to be out there with your team and learning your teammates and watching how the older guys do it. I think that's the best thing you can do. So just watching them was really beneficial, and then getting the experience in the games.
How much more comfortable are you now compared to a month ago?
I think all of us are more comfortable. You get live reps with the new team, and you work on the things that you want to work on each week. But as every week goes by, you just try to pick one thing to work on, and I think we have a lot to work on, and it's good because we have a little bit of time, but we're kind of just going to move on from the preseason and take it for what it's worth and just keep pushing forward.
Mac, as you move on to the regular season, what is your expectation on what your role will be for the opener?
Right now, just like I always say, I'm focused on today. I think there's a lot of stuff I can clean up. I held the ball a little too long at some points today, but I'll work on that. And, when the next day comes around, I'll watch the film and figure out what I need to do better. But I'm here to play any role that I can play and help in any way I can, and I'm going to be ready whenever my time comes. So like I said, we got work to do, and we'll get the things fixed, and then we'll just keep rolling.
A couple of back shoulder throws to guys today. How comfortable are you starting to get with the receivers and guys out there?
Yeah, I think that's something that's good to have in your back pocket, but you don't have to do it every time, so you need to just figure out when to do it and when the right time to do it is, and that's kind of just a feel thing with the quarterback and the wide receiver, running backs, or tight ends. You can do it to anybody who's catching the ball, so I think we've worked on them in practice too, which helps, and we do them a little different, and I think it's good to just get them in live games so they can get a feel for them.
I don't know if you saw the clip, but Cam was pretty determined on the sideline to get that 5 from you.
Yeah, I saw. He showed me the video or whatever. I didn't hear him or see him, and then I was like, oh, my bad. But that's Cam for you. He's happy, and he's a great teammate, so I'm happy to be in the same room as him and just learn from him because he's a great dude.
Mac, the last practice on Thursday, and then tonight, Cam's obviously been the first quarterback out. Are you still preparing as though you could potentially be the starter, or do you know where you'll slot in that?
Yeah, I think I've always, I learned at a young age, just prepare like the starter. You don't have to be the starter, but prepare, get in your routine, and that's something Coach talked about today was just, hey, we're going to, be in the stadium again, just get in your routine, and that's kind of what I did, just eat the same thing I eat every game day, kind of go about my business how I would, and then you kind of get into your routine, and that's how you can get into a flow. I think the older guys do a good job of it, and the young guys, I think each week try different things to just try and get in a good routine, and hopefully when the season comes around, which is now, the real games, we can adjust our schedule again and find out what works for us.
Mac, what did you see on the touchdown to Zuber?
It was a good catch. I had plenty of time to throw it. He did a good job holding onto the ball, and they came back. We ran it again, and I took the hitch. So it's just, you got to just read your keys and stick to your rules, and plays will come like that. So it's pretty much just focus on that.
Do you think you've played well enough to be the starter?
What'd you say?
Do you think you've played well enough to be the starter?
I mean, I've gotten a lot of opportunities to play, and I can improve on everything that I want to improve on. So I think just learning from Hoyer, Cam, Jarrett, anybody I can, and just listening to Josh and his coaching, there's a lot of work to do, but I think I've made progress. But honestly, it's just the only thing that matters is today, and then tomorrow I'll focus on tomorrow. But I think the past is the past, and we're kind of moving on to the new season here.
You've talked about the veterans, and you've talked about Cam, and you've talked about Hoyer and even Jack. What has it been like learning from these guys as this process is going forward, plus with all of us asking you questions about, going to be the starter or possibly being the starter?
I think it's been good. I mean, there's no bad business in our quarterback room. We're all trying to help each other, and obviously I played in college last year, and I've never played in the NFL, so I'm here to learn from Josh, from Cam, from Hoyer, from everybody. So they've seen a lot of football, whether they played or were the backup or whatever, but they've seen NFL football, and they've been a great help to me, and I hope that I can help them whenever they ask for it. If I see something or if I have to do something for them, I'll do it because I'm trying to be a great teammate. So it'll play out how it's supposed to.
Mac, there was a moment at the end of the game where you were standing next to Cam and it looked like he was making you laugh. What are those moments like when it's just you two?
It's great. I think we just have good conversations, and he's like a big mentor for me. So at the same time, we can still be, have fun, kind of just talking. We're human, so we're not going to be just serious all the time. But he's a funny guy, and yeah, he's got some good jokes. So I just like to have the good conversation with him.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, there we are. There's Mac Jones tonight after the game. As the Patriots get the win 22-20, he said he's learned from Hoyer and Cam and Stidham?
Stid. Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, I wonder what he's learning from Stidham.
I don't hope maybe the hair. Stidham's got a nice mullet going right now.
Oh,
Stidham.
I have not noticed. All right, gentlemen, final thoughts as we wrap up this preseason and get ready for Week 1, 2 weeks from today. At home here against the Miami Dolphins. Deuce?
Yeah, somewhat inconclusive preseason, although they went undefeated, which, of course, is amazing. But I felt like I was going to learn more about this team than I know. I'm still intrigued by a lot of the pieces, but I feel kind of like I'm not sure how exactly it's going to all come together. I'm sure it will in some fashion, good or bad. But I think that there's a lot of unknowns and intrigue going into in a couple weeks in the first game.
Paulie Paul?
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the offense looks like. And I do think that Cam will be at the helm, but I want to see what that looks like in terms of the passing game specifically. And if they have enough, I would expect in the coming week some additions to the roster. When cutdowns come on Tuesday, I would expect Belichick and company to be pretty active in scouring that waiver wire.
Maybe wide receiver, maybe cornerback.
Adding some pieces. Bob wanted to add every Giants receiver tonight. Which is probably not a bad thought, given Belichick's history of going after guys that they practice against.
Right, exactly. Oh, I got a good look at him. I liked what I saw out of him.
So don't sleep on the Eagles either. They had some good receivers.
Well, it's
Watkins.
It's been preseason for us too. we've done a lot of work.
Yeah, we worked the kinks out a little bit.
We got a lot of work to do. I don't know if we'll all be here for Week 1. We've got cut downs coming.
Yeah, 3-man roster.
Is he on the bubble? Is Deuce on the bubble?
I don't love his chances.
He had a great last game, right? No?
You played well into the fourth quarter, though.
I played in the fourth.
You did.
I got a lot of guaranteed money, though, so you don't know.
Oh, that's right. Well,
do you now?
Not as far as you know.
Thank you to everybody, Matt LePan, Matt Morrell, our executive producer here, and for everyone who makes this show possible. Thanks so much for a great preseason. 2 weeks from today, we'll all meet back here for the Patriots pregame show when Week 1 Dolphins come to Gillette Stadium. We open up the 2021 campaign. The final score for the final time, Patriots 22, Giants 20. Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.